Reading with your kids.
Hey, so great to see you. Come on in, have a seat and relax. My name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast, an iHeartRadio Best Kids and Family Podcast Award nominee. We are so delighted that you're a part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. Our guest today is a podcast host herself. She's the host of the Insider Scoop podcast. Today we meet the incredibly talented young woman known as KK. Before we invite KK to the studio, we want to let you know you have a few hours left to get involved in Reading in the New Year, our free virtual family literacy fair that's happening on our website, readingwithyourkids.com. You can also find it at readinginthenewyyear.com. We've brought together authors from all over the world to read their books aloud for you and for your family. We also have loads of free downloads. There's hours and hours of family fun available for you at readinginthenewyyear.com, but it's only available until the midnight January 1st. So if you're listening to this podcast on the 31st of December 2020 when we publish it, you have 1 day left to get in on all the fun, and it can all be had at readinginthenewyyear.com. Joining us right now through the magic of technology, she is the host of a really cool podcast called Insider Scoop. Please welcome to the show, KK. KK, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm really excited to have you on. First, tell us what Insider Scoop is all about.
Yes, Insider Scoop is my podcast that I started at the end of August. And essentially, I just talk about anything and everything. I love to motivate people to be the best they can be. I love to be silly. And so I'll talk about a bunch of different topics. I'll give my opinions on them. I'll answer some crazy questions. I'll tell some story of something that has happened in my life, and I'll just share it with my audience.
This is really cool. Now, I'll be honest with you. If I was just listening to this, I'd be saying to myself, wow, what a really energetic young woman. She sounds really bright. And then I'd be surprised to find out that you're a high school student.
Yes, a high school student.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like many people will probably get surprised by that, but entertainment is something that I love to do and something that I really want to, I'm going to be in the entertainment field when I get older as well. So I was like, let me start young. So here I am with my podcast, and I've thoroughly enjoyed everything thus far.
Now, I have to tell you, I have a niece who is in high school, and a number of her friends have had to do podcasts as an assignment. So I've had a number of them call me and say, I got to do this thing, and I don't know what a podcast is, and how do I do it? And I kind of help them just get it done so they can turn it in. But you're on the other end. This isn't it. We'll find out what inspired you to start it, but this is something that's happening for you. You're out there, and you are podcasting all around the world.
I know. It's kind of insane to think about, but it's kind of exciting, knowing people are listening to it, loving the content. Like, it just really, it makes me happy and wanting to keep going, and it motivates me to even want to be in the entertainment business even more once I get older as well,
So what inspired you to start this crazy thing we call podcasting?
So I've always known since a young age that I wanted to be acting, singing, just in the entertainment business as a whole. And then as time progressed, I started watching this talk show called The Real and fell in love with that. And then I was like, okay, wait, I think I want to be a talk show host now. So then I was thinking, how can I get started now at my current age, knowing that, there's no talk shows for kids or for teens in general. So I was like, podcast. I love listening to them. So why not start my own? So we already had a mic because my dad is a YouTuber. And I was like, okay, I have that. I did a little research. I found Anchor. And then I was like, okay, I need a name. I need what I'm going to talk about. Let me figure that out. I figured that out. And then I was like, okay, let's do it. So I recorded the first one. After recording that episode at least 50,000 times, trying to get it perfect, right? I came to the first one, and then I published it, and it got so many plays, and it was so exciting.
Yeah. What was that like? Because I imagine that, you were probably figured that folks around the area, maybe some of your friends and family would download it. But what did you think the first time when you looked at the statistics and you saw, gee, someone downloaded this in, some country on the other side of the world?
It was crazy to think about. Like, I knew my family and friends would support me, but I didn't know that the amount of people that I saw, listen to it would be listening to the podcast. Like, I knew my close friends, but there was so many. For, the first episode, I was in shock, but it felt really good. It felt really good.
That's fantastic. Now, I want to talk a little bit about and we talked before we started recording, about your folks. It sounds like you have some incredibly supportive parents who are backing you up. Talk a little bit about them for us, please.
Yeah, of course. My parents have always had my back through thick and thin, whether that was through school, social life, friends, my goals and aspirations. They've always had my back. And they know what I want to achieve in life, and they know my goals. And they're like, we have your back no matter what. They always, find ways to help me learn more about the business. They have given me the opportunity to meet with some of their friends as well. So I look forward to meeting with them as well in the future. But they've given me so many opportunities to help me, lift my whole entertainment career higher. And obviously, they still want me to focus on education, knowing I'm still a high schooler, but they're still letting me accomplish my dreams and do what I want to do in regards to the podcasting and later on my talk show.
Now, as I'm speaking to you, and based on what we talked about before we started recording, it doesn't sound like you have the kind of parents who are just like, oh yeah, Kate, whatever you want to do, go ahead. Here's the keys to the van. Do whatever you want. Go across the country. Whatever. We're just here. We're loving everything. They're guiding you and they're giving you some structure within where they feel safe for you to operate.
Exactly. And I think that's honestly super amazing. I think it's great to have parents that let you do what you want, but at the same time set boundaries to prevent you from doing something crazy, especially knowing how crazy our world is. They like me to keep my face and age, secret and on the low, because they know the world that we're in. Obviously, I was like, why can't I show my face? People need to know who I am, so hopefully I can grow. But they're giving me the other side, KK, the world is crazy. We want to keep you safe at the same time, but we want you to do what you want to do as well. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a balance. I get what I want, and I'm still staying safe and following their rules.
So I have to ask you about that. You are a very strong, confident young woman.
Thank you.
It's obvious that you're intelligent.
Thank you.
How is it that you're not one of many young people your age who say, I know better than my parents, so I'm just going to do what I want to do anyways?
I mean, I know that they're older than me. They've been alive longer than me. They know the world way better than me. So, I have to follow their guidance. And even if sometimes if I don't want to do what they want me to do, I still follow it because, they're my parents and I respect them. And it's my duty to follow and obey the rules that they give me. Despite the fact that I sometimes might not want to do it, I might try to talk to them and be like, you see, my side is this. What do you think? Will you let me do it? And then they might be convinced, but then sometimes they'll also just follow their gut and do what they believe is best.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like this is a really wonderful relationship you have with your parents. One of the things that I stress here on the Reading with Your Kids podcast is that the time we spend reading with our little ones, that is the beginning of a lifelong conversation. Do you have memories of your parents sitting down and reading to you when you were younger?
Yes, I do. I don't remember the book. I think it was called Please Baby Please. It was about this little girl and her mom, and my mom would read it to me, and I still have that book to this day. I don't know where it is, and I wouldn't be able to tell you where it is, but my mom would always read that to me. And then I also have a younger sibling as well. So like sometimes we'll read to my family will read to him as well. So my parents have definitely read to me, and it's definitely an awesome moment.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about that, please, KK. You know, we've talked to reading specialists and psychologists and obviously authors and other parents about just the value of reading with your kids. But from a young person's perspective, somebody who was recently cuddled up on your parents' lap being read to, what benefits do you see of parents spending time reading with their kids?
I think parents reading with their kids shows their parents that they truly care about them and they want to spend time with them. I think, that time is a very valuable time to the child and to the parent, honestly, I would say. Because, it's like just one-on-one time, or if both of the parents are reading, I guess two-on-one time. But it's just a time to bond with your family. And as a young person, you're also able to, learn words depending on the age. Let's say you're, 5, 6. Your parents reading to you is going to help you learn the words and, sound out and everything. And at the end of the day, it'll just help you get better at speaking and reading overall. But it's also time to bond with your family.
And that's the thing that I really stress it, because I'm not an expert in anything. I can barely dress myself sometimes. But it's that bonding. I know instinctually that the bond that I have with my now amazingly my amazing adult children, that bond began when we were sitting down reading together when they were 1, 2 years old. It was such a wonderful, important time in our lives.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think parents enjoy it as well. I mean, obviously I'm not a parent, but I would expect parents enjoy that moment with their children as well.
Well, you are wise beyond your years, KK, because those were the most fun moments that I remember, looking back on parenting. And, when you're sitting down reading with your kids, you're not arguing about taking out the car or putting your face on your podcast. It's just, hey, we're just spending time together. Hey, you are able to give us something that our parents, I don't think, have access to. You are a young woman, but you're still in high school. What kind of stuff is happening in high school these days? I know a lot of high schools are virtual these days, but in general, what kind of things are happening in high schools that parents might not know about, but they really should know about?
High school. Oh, wow. That's honestly a great question. I think something that parents should know about in regards to the high school world would be, times have changed since y'all have been younger, for sure. I know, kids these days, I am an innocent child. I don't do those things. But I will say, I know people, and I've heard things, the things that teenagers are doing these days are absurd. And they're things that parents, if they found out their children did them, they probably would not be so happy. But I think it's important for parents to be aware of the things that teens are getting into these days, so they can tell their children, I don't want you to do this, or if you do this, please be careful and or talk to me first. My mom has told me, before I do anything crazy, to come and talk to her first, so she can hopefully talk me out of it, if you get what I'm saying. But I think it's important for parents to have those talks with their children, because the world is crazy. I mean, it's insane, the things that are going on. Something else I would tell parents is to know that mental health is probably very bad for teenagers. I know for me personally, I struggle with anxiety. I struggled with that before high school, but as high school happened, my anxiety got worse because of the people. So I think it's important for parents to talk about friends and friendships and everything, because that will weigh you down mentally, so teach them all the lessons you can about people and how you can't trust everybody, not everyone is for you, and stuff like that.
Yeah, those are unfortunately really important lessons to learn, and they're really hard to accept.
They are, for sure.
Yeah. I remember sitting down when I was starting and sitting down my businesses and sitting down with an attorney, and one of the things he said to me was, chances are if someone's going to rob you and hurt you and steal from you, it's probably someone that you love. And I was shocked, but thankfully it hasn't happened. But I think in looking back, it's true, as those people who are closest to us sometimes are the ones who can hurt us the most.
I completely agree. I had an episode on my podcast where I was talking about the lessons I learned from the people I've met. And one of them was, like, the people that you fight for, you can't always expect for them to fight for you back. Mm-hmm. And despite how close you are with them, like, friendship-wise, you can't expect it. Because you'll, at the end of the day, get let down. So I guess, like, the moral of the story is don't expect too much from everybody. Don't hold high expectations, because if you don't receive it, you'll be let down. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So kind of think of, if they do treat you the same way that you treated them, think of it as like a present, but don't think of it as something that should be expected. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, talk a little bit about you're talking about your podcast. What were some of the highlights as you look back over the short time that you've been publishing? What were some of your favorite episodes or some of the favorite topics you've discussed?
My favorite topics, honestly, one of them would be insecurities, when I talked about insecurities, because that's something else that I think many teens struggle with, especially with social media and, like, you know, the high beauty standards that society has set for us. So I thought that was a great episode because I was able to share that, you know, insecurities are normal. Everyone has them, but you have to make sure that you don't change yourself because of beauty standards, because beauty standards are constantly changing. Because I saw a picture, it was comparing beauty standards from Marilyn Monroe to Kim Kardashian. Yes, they're both beautiful, but, like, if you look at their bodies, they're completely different. Mm-hmm. So that was definitely an important episode to me, and, like, talking about ways that have helped me deal with my insecurities. Another favorite episode of mine, maybe when I talked about the weather. I was talking about weather forecasts and how I no longer trust them because they're always incorrect. It'll say, oh, you're going to have a lot of rain, but it ends up being the best day ever. Yet you plan for the worst, but then the best thing happens and your whole day is ruined. So frustrating. Those were probably my two favorite, though.
Well, I have to tell you, if I was listening to this and I heard you say that you struggle with insecurity, I don't know if I believe you, because you sound so confident here speaking with me. Where does that come from? Where does that confidence come from?
That's a great question. I guess just, wow, I've never thought about that. I think honestly, it's just my personal, like, spirit and personality. I'm kind of always just a bubbly person, and I'm always high energy. My family, my friends would tell you, I'm always energized. Like, it could be 12 a.m. and I'm literally still wide awake, still very hyper, and have a lot of energy. So I guess it's just my personality that gives me the confidence that I have today. Yeah. And just, like, realizing that, you know, you can't compare yourself to others. You can't do that because everyone's different. Everyone's unique. And just, like, loving yourself, you know, the best you can. Because I think self-love is so important.
Absolutely. You sound like you're an incredibly positive person, and you're somebody like me who looks at the glass as being half full. Am I right about that?
Yes, I definitely am a positive person. I try to make everything honestly positive. Obviously, there are times when I, like, get in that hole of, like, worry or anger or just, like, sadness. But, I mean, most of the time I get out of it. And a lot of the time as well, I'll tell myself the thing that is making me sad or the thing that is making me mad is motivation for me to achieve my dreams even more. Like, whenever people make me upset or I get sad, I'm like, okay, now I know I need to really, really kill it because I'm about to, you know, be the best talk show host out there, what I love. You know, it's just motivation.
Yeah. I definitely want to take more advantage of the fact that we have this incredibly intelligent and confident young woman on the line. For parents, you spoke a little bit about social media and how that's can really be, a blessing, but also a curse, and really cause some young people some real heartache and cause them anxiety.
Definitely.
What would be some of the things that you would suggest parents be on the lookout for when their kid, in the way that their kids might be dealing with technology? Some signs that maybe things aren't going great for my kid, and I have to take a closer look.
I'm going to be honest with you. I really wouldn't. I feel like it depends on the teen. Mm-hmm. I think many teenagers don't have that strong of a connection with their parents. I have a strong connection with my parents, so my parents know when I feel low. But I feel like other teens that I know, they don't have that strong relationship with their parents, so it would be hard to tell. However, if you are one that has a strong relationship with your child will probably come to you and might ask, like, do I look good? You know, like questions like that are kind of validating, like, their bodies and stuff, you know? Or maybe they're just, like, stressed or constantly feel the need to, like, you know, they're like, I really want to be like that, and then they're constantly trying to change their bodies, maybe want to do plastic surgery. Like, I've seen things like that online as well, teens trying to do plastic surgery. But the thing is, as a parent, I feel like instead of, you know, agreeing with them saying, yeah, let's go get you that plastic surgery, try to talk them down from it. Like, try to encourage them and tell them that you're beautiful just the way you are. Like, no one can tell you otherwise. And, you know, like, we love you for you, and if anyone is telling you otherwise, you need to, like, stop associating with them because they're not good for you.
Yeah. This just occurred to me because I love the way you're speaking about your parents, and you also just mentioned that not every family has the same connection, the same special, beautiful connection that you and your parents and your younger sibling have. If a parent is listening to this and they're saying, I don't have that with my kid, but I want that. Is there some advice, or is there something you think a family can do to kind of grow closer, even though their kids may be in high school or middle school?
I would say show that you care, and whether that's, you know, just having their back, you know, maybe if, like, taking them out to go to the mall or do something fun, show them that you care, you know, make it clear to them that you have their back. And maybe just, like, spend time with them. Like, if you're someone that's extremely busy, right? Try to make time for your children because they're going to get older. And once they hit those teen years, I'll be completely honest with you, they might not want to hang out with you as much. Like, my parents tell me all the time, we don't even hang out with you all the time as much anymore because I always hang out with my friends. Mm-hmm. But yet we still get that family time together. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So just spend time with your kids like starting now, and then as they get older, just make sure that you're always there for them, especially as they start to, like, you know, hang out with their friends more and experience the world.
Before we go, we're going through a really tumultuous time, similar to the period when I was growing up and dealing with the Vietnam War protests and whatnot. And to be honest with you, one of the things that frustrates me is that we're still fighting the same fight that Dr. King was fighting back when I was in school. What do you think that we can do as a nation to come together and heal the divide that is separating folks so radically these days?
Honestly, I think communication. I'm a big believer in communication and hearing all sides. And I think that's part of the problem that we're, like, lacking. Like, I've had conversations with my friends, especially about, like, the things that have happened in our world this summer and, you know, just in our world this year. And it seemed as if they just didn't understand the other side. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important for both sides to hear each other's sides, so then maybe their perspectives will change. And I think it also starts from at home. Like, if you're telling your child that we should be a divided country and stuff like that, you know, that's what their child will believe in, and that's what they'll tell their children. And you're just building generations of divide, you know, of division. So I think it's important to, like, think about it at home. Like, what do you want to believe? Like, what do you want your children to believe? What do you believe in? Then spread that to your kids. But then also have conversations with other people. Mm-hmm. And spread what you believe, hear what they say. Like, I know people that have strong beliefs, and for an example, one of my friends is a feminist, right? She's a diehard feminist. But the thing is, I have two friends that are feminists. One of them is such a diehard feminist, she's kind of sexist towards men. Mm-hmm. And then my other friend is feminist, but she's willing to hear the other side. And that's what I think we need more of in our country. My friend that's like a diehard feminist that's kind of sexist towards the other side, that's what I think our country is currently. And if we were to flip to the other side, open and willing to hearing both sides and coming together, I think we'd see a difference and a change. And I also think it starts with the power and, like, the lead of our country. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I have to tell you, KK, I have loved having you on the show. Tell everybody where they can find out more about Insider Scoop, where they can subscribe so that they can check out your podcast and become a fan.
You can listen to my podcast on many different podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, Breaker, Radio Public, on essentially any platform you listen to. You can also follow the Instagram, which is @officialinsiderscoop. And I post every Monday, so new episodes are up every Monday. And that's about it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I've had a fantastic time. I think it is well worth your while to check out Insider Scoop, because I think KK is going to have a long and important career in entertainment and in communication and in helping us come together. KK, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed my time here with you today.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We have a fantastic couple of guests for you. Stephen Joseph, the author of The Last Surviving Dinosaur, the Tyrannosaurus, will be with us. He is telling us all about his brand new book for adults, Effective Crankiness. We also have Shanisa Dodson joining us. That is the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Hey, there's still time for you and your family to get in and all the fun happening at Reading in the New Year. Go to readingintheNewYear.com. You can also access all those hours of fun by going to readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so very wonderful. Of course, we want to thank our guest, KK. Check out the Insider Scoop podcast. Also want to thank my incredible team. This has been a very difficult year. 2020 has been very difficult, but helping me through it is my incredible team. Of course, my daughter, Alejandra Doherty, my producer, Fatima Khan, my awesome author, Ambassador Peggy Cotto, did so much for us this year. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she has given me through the 30 years of our marriage, and of course, being my best buddy, my pandemic pal. Also want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here on the podcast, for subscribing to the show, for letting folks know about the show. But most of all, thank you for all the love that you give to your kids, and you express that love by playing with them and cooking with them and doing crafts and activities with them, and of course, reading with them. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.